We covered a lot about spotting in the last category. Just a couple things to remember. The person spotting the load is usually the jump master who's familiar with the airport and the operations at that drop zone. Jumpers must maintain the correct weight distribution for the center of gravity for the aircraft. This is especially true in the event of an emergency or exit procedures. Thinking about all the weight that can be outside of the aircraft creating that drag can make it more difficult for the pilot. Another topic that you'll hear discussed a lot is called exit separation. And this is the amount of time that jumpers must wait in between groups. So after the group in front of you jumps, how long should you wait before exiting after them? The larger the groups are, the more time is needed between groups to keep good separation. This is because larger groups cover more area after they have tracked away from the center to deploy their parachutes. A single person jumping doesn't need as much distance because there's less risk that they're going to track away into another group. It also depends on how fast the aircraft is traveling across the ground. We determine this by taking the airspeed of the aircraft and subtract the headwind that the aircraft is flying into to get the ground speed. For example, if the airplane flies at about 100 miles per hour but is flying into the wind at 30 miles per hour, that really gives the aircraft a 70 mile per hour ground speed. The lower the ground speed, the longer the time that is needed between groups for exit separation. In this example, let's assume that we're jumping in a group of 3 people and our ground speed is about 70 knots. We're going to start at the bottom of the chart on the right, find 70, follow that line up until we hit the blue line, which indicates 2 to 5 jumpers, and then we're going to take that and follow it to the left to get 10 seconds are needed in between groups. Another good general rule of thumb is that the group in front of you must be at a 45-degree angle behind the airplane before you exit. And again, some drop zones may have their own specific rules on how much group separation they want. When visiting a new drop zone, make sure you ask about group separation and how much time is needed between groups for that day. As you're riding in the airplane for jump run, you have some forward momentum that you get from being in the airplane. In this example, you have about 70 miles per hour forward momentum across the ground, so that when you leave the airplane, that forward momentum causes you to actually move forward horizontally, and then you'll pick up speed vertically and lose the forward momentum from the airplane. This forward movement after exit is called the throw. As you transition from the horizontal movement from your momentum to the vertical movement of free fall, that's called the hill. In this hill, sometimes you have reduced controllability because you haven't quite made it up to the full 120 mile per hour free fall speed. If you are jumping in no wind conditions, that forward throw or momentum is going to carry you farther, and then as you pick up vertical speed, you're going to fall straight down. In a high wind situation, in the example on the far right, the winds can actually be strong enough to stop that forward momentum earlier and actually push you back farther. In the last category, we calculated this free fall drift that you get from the winds pushing you after you exit. The longer that you're in free fall, the more drift you're going to get across the ground. Not all skydivers fall at the same speed. A person jumping a wingsuit may only fall at 50 miles an hour, while a person doing the belly or RW may fall at 120 miles an hour, and a free flyer may fall around 160 miles an hour or faster. This means that exiting at the same altitude, a belly flyer will have more time in free fall than a free flyer. This means that the belly flyers are going to get more drift than the free flyer. Even though wingsuiters are in free fall the longest, they have some forward speed and can overcome the drift. In this example, the aircraft is at 10,000 feet and the free flyers exit the aircraft first. The belly flyers wait 6 seconds and then exit after the free flyers. Because belly flyers get more drift than free flyers, it is possible for belly flyers to fly into the deployment area of the free flyers. This can create an additional collision hazard. The way to prevent this is to have the slow fallers exit the aircraft first. You'll see that if the belly flyers exit first, they're going to get more drift away from the deployment location of the free flyers. This is the order that USPA recommends starting at the bottom. Slow falling groups exit first, and they exit from large to small. So in the first group, belly flyers exit, and they exit large groups first down to small groups, and then free flyers, free fall students, tandem students, tracking, wingsuiters, and last, high pullers leave the aircraft. Some drop zones may modify this exit order, so ask before you board the aircraft. Usually there will be someone there helping organize the load that'll make sure everyone loads correctly so that they exit in the correct order.